In the interwar period and the Second Persian invasion, we see and hear a lot of this Themistocles guy. We're here thinking, damn, he's pretty damn important if we keep hearing about him. And honestly, he really is. The Greek success during the Persian Wars was reliant upon Themistocles' war effort. While other contributors such as the Spartan king Leonidas certainly made an impact, all of it would have been for nothing if not for Themistocles. So, let's start this at the interwar period, and Themistocles' first important appearance. It's 490 BCE, and Miltiades has just kicked some serious Persian backside at Marathon. He's also gone on some expeditions. Athens is fighting with Aegina again, and Hipparchus has been ostracized. To the Greek populace, it could be said that everything seemed fine and the Persians were defeated. Ehrenberg states that the Greeks were quite simply going on with their daily duties between 488 and 484 BCE. Themistocles thought and did otherwise. King Darius, the guy that ordered the first Persian invasion of Greece, died of old age in 486 BCE. Xerxes now held the throne, and not only did Xerxes inherit his father's empire, but also his military plans. Themistocles, anticipating a second Persian invasion, worked to build up the Greek navy. Plutarch states that Themistocles sensed the danger while it was still far away and put his city into training to meet it. But with Athens thinking the Persians were a threat no more, how could one man change a whole population's opinion? At the given time, Athens was currently engaged in what seemed like an eternal war with Aegina. Aegina, being an island, had water between itself and Athens. Naturally, one would assume you need a floating device to get to said island. Luckily, Themistocles was thinking boats, and lots of them. Plutarch states that Themistocles toyed with the war between Athens and Aegina, the enmity and jealousy the people felt towards the Aeginatans. Through this, he had successfully convinced the Athenians that a fleet of triremes is just what they want. Triremes are like the European sports car of the sea and cost just as much. Ehrenberg infers that the biggest problem with his naval policy was the price, but much to his luck, a strangely rich silver mine was found in the Laurium district. Shame Greece can't find any more of these today though. But anyway, this is just what Themistocles needed. By now, we can assume Themistocles has some amazing charisma, and using such charisma, he had persuaded the assembly to not distribute the money, but instead use it to build a fleet of 100 triremes. These 100 European sport car ships are the very same that engaged and defeated the Persian fleet at Salamis. So, not only did Athens now have a nice amount of silver, and probably the strongest fleet at the time, but they had also gone to defeat the Persians in a naval battle, all thanks to Themistocles. Even Plutarch goes on to say, the fact remains the Greeks were saved at that time by their prowess at sea. So, we get that Themistocles is pretty cool, building triremes and showing the Persians where to go. But compared against what? How can we say Themistocles' war effort was so amazing when we have nothing to compare it to? Well, here's your answer. King Leonidas. Now, at one point in time, we've probably all heard about Thermopylae or the 300 Spartans. Really, though, there's a good reason for this. We know about this not only because of Jared Butler's abs and the heroic stand of the Thespians, Thebans, and Spartans, but because it actually contributed to the Greek war effort. The topographical features of Thermopylae were very decisive and gave a strategic advantage to the Greeks. It was a narrow pass. It can be assumed that such a location gave favour to the small Greek numbers, for the Persians could not simply stretch out and surround the Greeks. Because of the strategic position, the Persians hesitated and were held up for 4 days. Now, Xerxes, being a very organised man, wanted to keep his naval force in contact and sync with his land force. This gave the Spartans a chance to hold up not only the Persian land force, but navy. After waiting for 4 days, however, Xerxes grew impatient of expecting the Greeks holding the pass at Thermopylae to leave. On the 5th, according to Herodotus, he was seized with rage and orders his troops to advance the Greeks. The Persians were unsuccessful and beaten back by the Greeks. The next day, the Persians tried again, and failed. Again. Although the Persians had a stroke of luck when Ephialtes, a man in hope of a rich reward, came along. Ephialtes knew a passage around the hills to allow the Persians to outmaneuver and surround the Greek force. This wasn't very good for the Greeks, and upon hearing word of the Persians finding the route around, there was disunion and doubt with some troops deserting. With doubt in the ranks, Leonidas sent many of the allied troops home. This is where Leonidas really makes a contribution though. You see, Leonidas had realized an inevitable defeat. By sending these troops home, he was sparing their lives, saving them from the Persian blade. The troops that had left, however, would have most likely either fortified their Polai or town. It's also highly probable that they fought in the Battle of Plataea, the final conclusive battle in the Persian Wars. Although, by making a stand at Thermopylae, the Spartans had successfully held up the Persian land and sea force for 6 days, enough for the Greek naval force to retreat and regroup to prepare for the next encounter. In the end, though, if we were to compare Themistocles and Leonidas, we can comfortably say that Themistocles wins. While Leonidas saved lives for another day and held up the Persian army, all of that would have been for nothing if not for the embellishments such as a new navy and fortifications for his poly, Athens. Themistocles' war effort during both the interwar period and second invasion are certainly the most important.